Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Modern video. That's right, I said Modern because we're going to be playing Modern today. And as last time, the solution to my bandwidth problem is to use my cell phone. Hopefully Swisscom does not get upset and cut off my service. I will just have to play dumb if they do. Alright, before I get started with actually playing games, I wanted to try and do something different, and that is when I make a video, I'm going to go back and look at the last video and I normally try to answer all of the comments in writing, but I thought it might be more fun to answer the comments in a really quick segment before we get started. So let's do that. Cue transition music. Da, 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 da. Okay, so John says, how is the Tron matchup with their Pyroclasm, O-Stones, Karns, etc.? It seems like a wretched matchup for Geist. I would say that the matchup overall is probably 55 their favor. It's actually quite winnable. Like, if Geist lives, then you're probably going to win, but then sometimes you don't even need Geist. Maybe you pick out their threat with Vendilion Click. I'm not going to lie, like, it is in their favor, but the last 3 times I've played Tron, twice at the GPT that I won, and then once in an 8-man yesterday, I've won those games. Now, that is the norm, like I said. But I think the matchup is winnable. You just got to try to get there with burn. You got to try to, hope you have a mana leak for their early threat or a remand that you can, maybe they stumble. Maybe they, if they don't put turn 3 Tron together and you're able to go turn 3 Geist and then start remanding their things and Snapcaster remanding their things, then that's great. Geist is your best card in the matchup, even though they have Pyroclasms. The thing is, there's 60 cards in a Magic deck, and even if they have 4 Pyroclasms, they may not draw them. So, it is what it is. It's 55-45, maybe even sometimes 60-40, but it's not unwinnable. It's not like Boggles, right? Boggles is like 80-20, 90-10. So, you just, and obviously it depends on how you have your sideboard set up too. Okay, so let's go next question here. Richard Whalen. Hey Nate, I have a Mardu list I've been working on. I'd love a way to get it to you. I feel like it's good, but needs maybe some tuning. I don't play an MTG. I'm a paper guy. Thanks for the content, and good to see you back again. I probably don't need to read these to you. You guys can read it, so I'm just going to not do that. If you want to send me a list, you can do it in the comments, but something I don't really advertise that I probably should, and I generally get to all the questions, although it can be kind of slow. I have a busy life, but you can find me on Facebook. I think if you just look up Great Nate or Nathan Quintanilla or something like that, you can find it on there. I don't generally add people to my personal page, and it's, no offense to anybody, but, I want to try to keep my private life as private as I can. So that's why I have the public Facebook page so that you can message me, and that's probably the best way to ask me questions or just say what's up or say how I'm doing, because I get, some kind of notification on my phone, Messenger, and I can try to give you a reply. So if you want to, send it there, and I'll take a look. I don't consider myself a Magic expert, so I don't know that I'll have something amazing to say, but I will take a look and give you my opinion. Okay, let's see what we got. Oceanborn 66. Any thoughts on Slip Through Space in place of Serum Visions? Maybe. That is... I pulled that up a second ago. Let's see here. That is this card. Target creature can't be blocked this turn, draw a card. I don't think so. We already have a card that is probably better than this, and that is Distortion Strike. Not only does it pump Geist a bit, it draws a card in the form of drawing another copy of itself, in which if you're trying to punch a creature through, Distortion Strike is probably a lot better than Slip Through Space. And we're not running Slip Through Space. We're not running Distortion Strike. I agree that if they're running a creature deck, one of these cards might be good, but it's a little bit too situational, especially in a deck that is halfway reactive. If we were running a bunch of creatures, if we were running like more Geist or 8 Geist or something like that and could almost guarantee to have this, then it might be playable, but I don't really think that our deck has this problem. I mean, yes, sometimes something gets in front of Geist and we can't attack, but that's why we run as much removal as we do, and Snapcaster Mage just to buy it back. So I don't think that card is good enough. Let's see. Stephen Higgins. I read this comment, and he basically said he has a Jeskai control deck that he runs 3 Geists in. Thanks for sharing the list. I'll have it up here so people can check it out. Personally, I think 3 Ghost Quarters might be a bit much. Maybe not. But awesome. I'm glad you're having success with Jeskai. That is fantastic. And if you're playing Geist in your Jeskai list, I like it even more. So thanks for sharing. It definitely has some interesting takes. 4 Spell Pierce, along with 4 Cryptic Commands, 4 Remands. Looks pretty cool to me. Might be something to give a try. Jeskai Charm, I don't know about that. I'm not too big on that card. I've tested it a few different times. Do we have any more questions? Braids Cabal Minion. Esper Mentor. I like Esper. And I think Monastery Mentor is an awesome card. I have played it a bit. I do think Esper's the shell, primarily because there's so much removal in the format. You know, Monastery Mentor is kind of like Delver in that the space it exists in Legacy is different than the space it exists in Modern. There is, you know, some of you guys probably don't play Legacy. When you play Legacy, you realize how many more less lightning bolts there are, how many more or less abrupt decays, and you see why a card like Delver can be so much better. The thing in Modern is, you know, I just played Jeskai Delver yesterday. He was round 3 in an 8-man, and he actually played Geist of Saint Trapt, and he was whenever you have 2 decks that are both running Geist, the matchup really comes down to who is able to stick Geist first and ride it to victory. And unfortunately for me, and fortunately for my opponent, yesterday it was him. He Geisted me twice, which kind of felt funny. I was like, I'm the Geist deck. What are you doing? But by far the worst card in his deck was Delver. I think he cast 3 or 4 Delvers, and I killed it every single time. It just didn't do anything. Sure, it traded with removal, but I don't really think that Delver is that great in this format. And, you know, some people might agree, but when you see it in Legacy, it's that much better. And Monastery Mentor's the same way. It's so much better in Legacy because there's just that much less removal, which makes your discard spells that much better because they're just going to be more effective at getting rid of removal spells. So if I was going to play Monastery Mentor in Modern, I would definitely want to play it in Esper because I think that you just have the tools to protect it. If I was going to play Jeskai Shell, I think probably Geist is just going to be better. And I think Geist, you know, I've played Geist in Esper, and it's fun and it's neat, but he just synergizes so well in a Jeskai Shell because he makes the burn better. The burn makes him better. You know, you in a format full of removal, you can play Geist, and you don't have to worry about him getting destroyed or getting killed. That doesn't mean that Geist is going to be great in every meta, but I think that in a format with tons of removal, Geist could be better. And in a deck with lots of burn and removal, you know, burn that can also be win conditions, that makes your burn better because it synergizes with Geist's offensive strategy. Okay, so let's see. Manskittle. How do I feel about Esper Control? I love Esper Control. I don't necessarily love Esper Control in a really aggressive format. Now, you can, you know, red-based control decks have an advantage, and they can have a sweeper that is much faster. A turn 4 sweeper can be pretty slow, and you really need to lean on it. When you're looking at a red control deck, you have bolts and helixes that make you less reliant on that sweeper as a way to get out of those hyper-aggressive, as a way get out of dying to those hyper-aggressive strategies. Esper Control is really good in a format that would be dominated by mid-range. If there's a lot of Jund and Junk and Blue-White Red Control and decks like that, I think Esper's great. But if there's a lot of Zoo and a lot of Burn and a lot of Affinity, it's not that Esper doesn't have the tools to fight those because it does have great sweepers. It's just that if it doesn't draw them, it's probably going to die. And it just doesn't have all the board control tools that Jeskai does. Now, I actually really like playing the deck as bad as I feel like I am at playing it. I think it's super fun because the deck draws tons of cards. The deck can draw more cards than it can hold sometimes. And I've been like, could I put a Reliquary Tower in so they don't have to discard? But, you know, if you like it, play it. It's not that you can't do well at an event with it. You got to remember that. Like, there's no absolutes in Modern. The format's too bad for Esper, too fast for Esper, because you may get to an event and maybe you won't play against that many fast decks, and you can do what you can with time your reinforcements and stuff to try and shore your deck up against those matchups. But I'd say this: if you like Esper, then play it. Play the deck you want. You know, I don't think anybody's going to tell me that Jeskai Geist is the best deck, but I enjoy playing it. I've won a PPTQ with it. I feel like I could have done a lot better at the RPTQ had I not made the split-second decision to take my Tron and Amulet hate out of the deck only to face Amulet and Tron and die to them and not have anything. I recently won a GPT with it, and my first 200 matches playing the deck, I was like 60 to 65% win rate on Magic Online when I started recording. So play what you want, man, and good luck. I think, okay, so we got one from Adrian here. Let's see, he's got a few questions. Do I think the one counterspell in my sideboard is enough? Well, I don't really know what my sideboard's going to be yet. Go ahead and pull up the deck here. I guess you can't see it with the question in front of it, but I don't know what the deck is going to be. Oh, see, look, I've already like put 2 Dispels in. I mean, Dispel's still a good card, I think. It's really good against Burn. It's good against Collected Company decks. It's good against decks running Court of Calling. It's good against Ad Nauseam decks. It's good against Goryo's Vengeance. So, 2 might be enough. Obviously, I actually think it's less good. No, I guess it's also pretty good against... I keep trying to remember if Metamorphose is an instant, and I think it is. Like I said in my last video, you really have to tune a Jeskai deck to the meta, and I just don't know what the meta is going to be yet. So, we will see. I've run the deck without Cryptics. I've run the deck with 4 Cryptics. I've run it with 2 Cryptics. And I would say that if I could have it my way, I would like to be able to run 1 Cryptic command in the deck. There are times when you have a Geist in play and you've been able to, Geist or an Angel, and you're killing them, and you've been able to sort of manage the board, and you draw a Cryptic command. And with a form of pressure and a Cryptic command in your hand, you sort of feel like you can't lose now, because you're probably going to be able to counter draw whatever they do, whatever you need to do, whatever you need to counter. And if you're able to also draw a Snapcaster Mage and you're that late in the game, then you also potentially have, like, Snap Cryptic, counter the thing, bounce the Snapcaster Mage back to your hand so that you have another copy of Path to Exile. And so sometimes I feel like 1 Cryptic is the best because it is really powerful, and ideally you want to be Crypticing things with a form of pressure on. And so I'd like to always at least try and keep 1 Cryptic in, but again, it's meta dependent. I could totally see running a second Thundermaw. If we were truly in a format that had no need for Cryptic and I thought it was actively bad, I would love to run another Thundermaw if I thought that I could. I think Thundermaw's sweet. It's probably my favorite curve topper. There's times when you're like, it also gives you a way to curve out. You're like, turn 3 Geist, attack, they take 4. Or let's say turn 3 Geist, attack, turn 3 play Geist, turn 4 they have blockers, save it with Restoration Angel, so they've taken 4. And so then on consequence attack, you have the next turn, rather, you have a chance to then play a Thundermaw and attack with 4 power in the air guaranteed from Geist, 3 power from your Restoration Angel, making 7, and then an additional 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 with the Thundermaw, and they're all going to get through. And with the deck with as much burn as we have, that might be enough right there to just, if they're able to deal with that, it gives you a nice offensive curve. So, and if they can't deal with that, then they're going to die. And if they aren't, then you may be able to just, if they are, then you may be able to just finish it up with burn. You have 1 Anger. Well, I know I have more than 1 board wipe, actually. You got to remember, Anger is the most dedicated board wipe, but sometimes Is It Staticaster is a board wipe. Sometimes Engineered Explosives is a board wipe. So I'm definitely running 3, and this is a pseudo 4, so 3.5. And obviously against the right deck, this is also a board wipe. So, to answer your question, let's see. With the Death of the Twin, like aggro strategies, yeah, I agree. That's what I said. Aggro strategies make a resurgence. It depends. If there's a ton of Merfolk, I'm probably going to bring in a Supreme Verdict. If it's just a lot of Zoo, if the creatures have that magical 3 toughness, then this. If people are doing like Knight of the Reliquary type stuff, locks it on Smiter, then yeah, I can see going Supreme Verdict. I will always run Supreme Verdict over Wrath of God unless I think Regeneration is a thing. The Elspeth in the sideboard was actually very good against all versions, all blue decks, because typically you're trying to get in a fight on their turn that forces them to tap out. They're just, and then you resolve a big threat like Karnos or Elspeth, or in our case, even Geist works. And then against decks like Jund, Abzan, you really just want to increase the quality of your top decks, meaning you want to draw into a giant game-winning threat like Karanos or Elspeth. Elspeth can also basically kill all the big creatures from Abzan. It's less good against Abzan because of Lingering Souls, but it's still good. So yeah, you want it against control decks. You want it against any grindy matchup. Any decks where it's going to go long, you're going to have a bunch of answers for each other's stuff, and you're going to start top decking. If you're both top decking, and they're holding one card in hand, and you're like, you know what, they have 6 lands in play. I think they're not doing anything. Maybe it's a land, and they're just, trying to represent something. You can just sort of be like, well, if you have it, you have it. If you don't, you're going to lose to this card. So that's what it's for. Okay, well, that ended up being a little longer than I thought it would be, but I enjoyed answering everybody's questions. So let's see. Give me a second here because there's something else I wanted to do. I know what it was. And by the way, guys, I'm sorry I'm talking so fast. I'm just feeling like, you know what, I want to try to be as time conscious as possible. And I really don't like uploading hour-and-a-half long Magic videos, only because I think it's difficult for people to watch for that long. I think 20 minutes would be great. This is going to obviously be longer than that, but is what it is. Okay, so this is something I wanted to show you guys. I started tracking my results because I wanted to be able to make data-driven decisions on things like sideboards. I wanted to be able to say, okay, you know what? Affinity matchup isn't as good as I thought it would be. And I also just wanted to see, like, am I going infinite? What am I doing? So I don't want to spend too much time on this. And if you guys are interested and fine to make this public, I think what I may actually do is I think I'm going to start a new one. I'm going to start it here. New meta. Let's do a new spreadsheet. Plus, it does, when you get a lot of data in here, it does get a little bit more difficult to make sense of it all. The way it works is, this is what I started with. I started with 57 tickets and 306 play points. This was right when League started. And at the height of success, if you want to call it that, we had gotten up to 186 tickets. So that's not bad. We're definitely infinite. Not making lots of tickets, but infinite. And let's see. I think that this, yeah, most of this is Geist. But, okay, no. I did zero out all of the other decks. So the only results right now is Geist. But what I can see here is once we got rolling, 60%, 62, this is our win rate. 60%, 60% in the 60s. We dipped down to 59. At one point, we got as high as 63. And unfortunately, in November, let's see, kind of hit a rough spot. And I think what happened is I played in the RPTQ, and, I know that there's one public 5-0 league out there. I've actually 5-0'd a league 3 different times. And I've had, a bunch of 4-1s here, a 5-0, 4-1, 5-0, 5-0, 4-1, 1-4. But I don't know if you guys heard me mention the spike feed, but I sort of hit a rough spot around November 15th. And so if we look here, we can see that I was at a 60% win rate. And unfortunately, maybe it was a little after that. Let's see. That was my last 5-0, I think. Let's see. What did we do? We went 5-0 here. Actually, no. We also went 5-0 here. So it was really after November 25th that I started doing a little worse. I just started losing a lot. I don't think my head was in the game as much. I went to the RPTQ, and I'm not going to lie, I was really disappointed. Mainly because I decided that I needed to have 2 Aven Mind Sensors in the board to help against Tron, but also mainly against Amulet. And at the last, even though I had played like 200 matches in preparation on Magic Online, at the last second I decided to beef up on my Affinity hate. Never played against Affinity, didn't see any Affinity in the room. Played against Tron and lost, Amulet lost, Amulet lost. Lost against Amulet twice, Tron once, and Grixis. I did lose against Grixis Twin, which I think is a good matchup. I just feel like my opponent was great, and I didn't draw very well. And then I just felt like, I guess after I was playing at some point, I do think I got a little lackadaisical, and I was just like, I wasn't trying as hard. I mean, there are a couple 4-1s in here. But I know that if I look at the sum, actually, we can just look really quick. Bear with me I'll do a quick formula for you guys. Let's see. Okay, so this is unfortunately, the win rate of all of these matches, all of my matches since from the 26th on. and that includes a 4-1 in there, two 4-1s, I guess. So clearly not actually, I didn't even have to do that because I forgot I built this feature in. I can actually go down, so I can say from 11:26 on, this should change. This should be correct. From 11:26 down, we played 70 matches with a match win rate of 41%. So that's not great. It's better if I go here. In fact, just to show you guys, I'm going to clear everything out and we'll see. Actually, I don't need to do that. I forgot all the features I have built into the spreadsheet. I can just look and see what my match win percent was on the 26. It was 60.2. So that's great. I'm still managed to be, I guess, at 55 when everything is said and done, but it's not it is not as good as it was. It was like around, it was a little over 200 matches, or right around 200, and we were still at 60%, which I think is pretty great. But the reason I did this is I wanted to be able to make data-driven decisions, and so you can do some cool stuff like I generally sort by times paired. Now, it could just be that I'm awful, but you can see that you would think we have a great affinity matchup. Well, not really. I'm around 50%. In fact, every time I lose to affinity, I make a note, and basically what I've determined is we either lose to Etch Champion or a mistake. Like, I can look at my notes. Lost to Etch Champion. Lost to Etch Champion. Lost to Etch Champion. I had been drinking. So I was probably playing not as well. But mistake versus affinity. Lost to Etch. Lost to Etch. Lost to Etch. And so I really realized that was the critical card in the matchup. So at one point in time I was running either 2 Shatterstorm or a Shatterstorm and a Supreme Verdict, just because I knew that I could play well and I might still just lose to Etch Champion because I can't interact with it. We were able to do 55% against Amulet, just to give you guys some interesting stuff. I was 82% over 72 matches versus Burn, good matchup. 78% versus Grixis Twin, good matchup. 76% against Blue-Red Twin, that's good. 41% against Tron, not great. 60-40. 20% against Delver over 10 matches. 77 Grixis Delver. And here's Jund, which is great to see because just as we always say, we have roughly a 50-50 against Jund. We're probably a little favored versus Merfolk because we can occasionally get them with a sweeper and blow them out. Obviously, Engineered Explosives on 2 is really good there. Ad Nauseam, not so good for us. Living End, probably not great for us either. Abzan, another green-black matchup, 50-50, just like we would expect. Now, this is only over 6 matchups, but in fact, actually, I wouldn't expect Infect to be higher. Could have been hit by variants. Again, this is kind of a small sampling. Scape Shift were favored at least over this many matches, which I would expect. Same for Mono White Death and Taxes. Rug Twin was a little bit more difficult. Not very many matches, only 4. Suicide Zoo, looks like I've been getting wrecked by Blue White Red Midrange, who sticks Geist, just like I said. Black Red Eldrazi is not looking too good. Elves, and so we're kind of getting down to, this is such a small sampling, I'm not even sure if it's worth looking at. But I think that this, I'm no longer looking at ifs and maybes. I was actually able to say, well, I think that we actually can be, over many, many matches, even though Amulet is a very powerful deck, when you consider that many people probably don't play it optimally, we're 55% against it. But really, it's probably 50-50. I know that we have to respect affinity. We can't just say, like, oh, I have a bunch of bolts and helixes. No, we gotta respect affinity. If you think there's going to be a lot of affinity, it is not wrong to play 2 Shatterstorms. Okay, so that's kind of what I've been doing, and I think what I'm going to do is, going forward, I think we'll start a new spreadsheet. Maybe it's time to retire this guy. We've got a lot of good data here, but like I said, it's a new meta. We don't need to see numbers like Twin and things like that. So, or Amulet, And at one point in time, man, I was playing against a ton of Amulet. I know that this was like 12%, and Affinity was right underneath it. So, it's nice. This is when it comes to Jeskai, one thing that's going to be sad is this. So 3 of the 5 decks that I play against the most, we have over 75% win rate against. You know, and in some cases we're getting into the 80s. And then even, you know, even one of those decks we had still a positive win rate at 55%. So it is going to be interesting. I do think Twin is not our best matchup, and I'm very curious to see what these get replaced by. We'll still see a lot of burn, but it's a good matchup for us. This is going to be Zoo, where we're going to be able to do well against aggressive Zoo decks. I think we'd do okay against. Maybe we'll see more Delver. Delver's a good matchup for us. Yeah, all right, so we're going to start a league. We're going to do it together. Let me clear this out. Okay, so what I've done is cleared out the spreadsheet. We have a starting ticket count of 174, starting play points of 96. These are the decks. I can add more here. They will show up as clickable drop downs where we enter the data. I mean, obviously this isn't relevant, but I guess I can just do this. There's not going to be no more Blue Red Twin. I don't even have this deck anymore. I do have Esper. I have other decks, but I can add them here if we want to play them. The reason it's relevant is that I can select them as a drop down, which I know we're going to play Geist here. But then also on the report side, you can filter by certain decks so that the results show up. So if we play other decks, we can track that as well. But this shows everything all at once. The other thing is it also tracks our value. So right now the total value is 183.6, and that's because 10 play points are worth 1 ticket. So we get to 0.6 because there's 96. If this was 90, then it would be 183. And that's basically 90, which is 9 plus 74 to get 183. All right, so let's say that we're going to start. This is how we do it. We do 128, 2016 event. We're going to start a league. And it's going to cost us 0 tickets. We're going to use 80 play points to enter. This is where we enter what we win. This will calculate. Actually, darn it, I'm going to have to put the formula in here. Steal it from the other spreadsheet. But this will auto-calculate our match wins and match losses based on. We have round 1, wins, loss. Round 2, win, loss. We could actually probably enter if we start on the draw or the play, but maybe I'll add that as another feature. All right, so let's look at the deck we're going to play. And, you know, when I upload this, maybe I'll put some kind of like chapter markers in case you don't want to watch everything. Meaning, because this might not interest everybody. Okay, well, let's take a look at the meta and try to make some kind of an intelligent decision here. We're a new meta, so we know there's not going to be Twin. Obviously, this isn't going to show it yet, but I know there's going to be Burn. There's probably going to be Tron. There's probably going to be Zoo. I guess I'm kind of fine with what we have. Let's just run with this. We have a couple of Dispels for combo decks. Anger of the Gods for aggressive decks. Is it Static Caster for... It's good against potentially aggressive decks, tokens, Abzan, stuff like that. Crumble to Dust, Shatterstorm, mid-range decks. If we don't think there's going to be a lot of mid-range, we could cut an Elspeth probably. Stony Silence also good against Tron, Affinity. I'm fine with just giving this a try, you know, see what we learn. Sure. Okay, so let's do construct a tournament, league. That is the desk, Jeskai Nate, right? Yep. Modern League, active, join the league. Jeskai Nate, let's submit. 80 play points, boom. And I got time to play one game now. And, you know, I'm not going to wait till I record the whole league. I'll upload this one video, and then you guys can just follow along. That'll be easier for me from a time standpoint, because as you guys know, between work and husbandry and, you know, daughtering and my own personal life and everything, sometimes it's hard for me to sit down for many hours. So if you guys don't mind, I'll just, you know, we'll work through a league. Could be over some days, but the one benefit is it might be easier for me to post more frequent content. It just may be shorter. Okay, so we're already in the match. Yeah, we want to play first. Not so good. We're gonna have it's already pretty land heavy, but then it doesn't even have the colors that we need. Now this could be a Sulphur Falls, but because we have Elspeth and Core Firewalker, I like having the extra white source. So I'm going to mulligan this hand and hope that it's not terrible. I mean, it's not good. And we're on the play. We do have a Serum Visions, but... do we want to be greedy? We want to go Flooded Strand, Hollowed Fountain, get a Serum Visions. I mean, our curve's not too high. It's got to be wrong keeping one lander. What would I... Okay, if this was a big tournament, what would I do? If it was a big tournament, I'd mulligan. And into kind of the same thing. So, put that on the bottom. Now, here's the question. We've already put something on the bottom. Do we just... Yeah, I don't think we cast Serum Visions yet. I think we know we put a non-land on the bottom. So let's just try to draw a land. Could be burn. Yeah, definitely burn. Alright, so we're going to draw. Okay, and we did draw a land. That's great. We're just going to pass. I do not want to... We're going to get a Hollowed Fountain, but I don't want to give him basically a free bolt by fetching and shocking just so that we can Serum Visions. This is probably going to be an Eidolon, which is going to be annoying. Let's get that Hollowed Fountain. Maybe we'll draw a Bolt. That would be great. Snapcaster Mage. So the thing to contemplate is trying to ambush the Eidolon with a Snapcaster Mage. That would be bad if he has a whatever the spell is that has landfall. I can't think of all of a sudden, but it has landfall, and if a land comes into play, it deals 3 damage to a creature and 3 damage to a player. That would be kind of a blowout. But I'm trying to think, is it correct to just Serum Visions? It does set up our next draws. I'll try to ambush and make a decision. It's a higher variance play. Okay, so if he has that spell, it's not as bad now because it will only do 1 since there's been no landfall trigger. It'll do 1 to Snap and 1 to us. Let's just try to go straight to blocks. I mean, it's not... We're unfortunately going to take 2, but this gives us another chance to see what we draw, and I'd much rather the Lightning Bolt go after Snap than us. Okay, come on, Lightning Helix. That's what we really want to draw. I mean, land is fine, so then let's... Alright, now we're sort of... We're forced to fetch here. And the thing is, we're going to take... If we play Geist, we're going to take 2, and we're going to have to block the Eidolon. That might be better, actually. If we Serum Visions, we're definitely going to take 2. And we still have to kill the Eidolon. So... I'm actually fine with letting... Well, now we're going to... Yeah, this is just... There's just no way for us to really... To realistically win this game. I mean, Burn is a good matchup, but it's not like we can't lose to it. I mean, I'm 100% blocking. But if he has like 2 bolts, we're just dead. probably just dead. It seemed like it took him a long time to think about that. It was pretty obvious we were dead. Alright, so let's bring in our Burn Hate. Core Firewalkers, Celestial Purge, 2 Dispels. I don't ever bring in Wear Tear. I mean, obviously some burn lists may play Blood Moon, but I think that probably won't bring it in against us. Okay, so the deck's a little different, and I felt like it sideboarded previously a bit better against Burn, but generally I don't want the Electrolyzes and I don't want the Remands, and don't want this guy. I guess that's fine. I really don't want Cryptic either. I think it's just too slow, but what else would I want? Maybe Remand's better than Cryptic. We are going to be on the play. Yeah, that might be fine. I mean, I don't think Remand's great, but Cryptic might just be worse. So let's run with this. Yeah, I'll play first. So we have early removal, which we want for the creatures. So yeah, I think we're gonna keep this, and this will get probably a Sacred Foundry. And this is like a Goblin Guide. Then we'll fetch with the attack trigger on the stack. Get a Sacred Foundry, untap, path it in Visions. So yeah, we can go ahead and just get the Sacred Foundry in play. Gave us a land, which is nice, and a Dispel. But I think we would just want to go ahead and hold up path, and let's just cast the Serum Visions. Another Dispel, we'll take that, and this would be our 4th land, so that's pretty sweet. I mean, we still would like to find another white source, and we'd like to find our Core Firewalker, but I'm definitely not going to say no to these Dispels. So let's see. We're going to path this, and then he's going to play something. And do we want to? Let's see. No, I think I want to play the Steam Vents first. I want to try to get this in play and then untapped as soon as possible. So let's just put these like this. Now, the one thing you want to make sure to play around is now that they have a Tarkus command, you don't have to do it with Path to Exile. But if you're going to like electrolyze a Goblin Guide, you don't want to let it attack because it only deals 2 damage and they can +1/+1 it with the Tarkus command and you will get totally blown out. Oh, wait, I messed that up. I put the Dispel. I should have put the Ghost Quarter, so we drew the Ghost Quarter. I'm just dumb. That was... I mean, it's not a big deal, but it is certainly not... It is certainly not... ideal by any means. We could have just drawn the Ghost Quarter. That was really dumb. Okay, well, we're going to kill that. So now we're going to draw the Dispel. Let's see. We know we're going to purge this, so is there any benefit to waiting? I'm actually going to shock. And the reason is, he knows we have a Dispel. But we can either take 3 damage from something, like, let's say it's Boros Charm. If he untaps and he knows we have a Dispel and he's able to Boros Charm, there's nothing we can do about it. So now we force him to play around this spell. If we don't shock, basically we're going to take 2 from our shock, or we're going to take at least 3 from whatever spell he's able to cast. Can't do anything about that. Yeah, so I'll dispel this. And then we have like snap path if he plays a creature. And if he tries to like Boreal's Charm, we have another dispel. Another Eidolon. So what we're going to do here is we're going to Snapcaster now so that we don't take damage from the Eidolon trigger by playing Snap, and then we are going to path it. So this is still like going to be a good exchange in that obviously we'd like to take no damage. What we'd really like to do is Helix this thing, ideally. But if his burn spells, like this is a whole spell, and if it's only doing 2 damage, then that's okay. Like, it's obviously we'd like to take none, but I mean, that's annoying. There's nothing we could have done about it. Geist. Yeah. We're going to play Geist and hold up a Dispel. Geist kills him really quickly. These matches are obviously better if we can draw Lightning Helix. Unfortunately, if he plays like a Goblin Guide, we're kind of forced to block because we are at 5. And we could still just be dead. Yeah, we're going to spell a Tarkus command. Alright, this is going to be a pretty difficult game to win. I'm going to guess he has 1 land in hand and that he just drew a spell. So if it's a sorcery, that will be unfortunate. If he's got 2 burn spells, there's just nothing we can do. But if he doesn't, if he's just holding a land, then now we have lethal on the board. Okay, so yeah, he was holding on to a land. So on the play, I mean, I just don't even like this remand in here. But there's just nothing I can do about it. It's not a hard counter. But I mean, God, Cryptic's just so... It's such a big, clunky counter. Maybe Electrolyze. Electrolyze is slow. Let's see, what is better? I guess just remand. I mean, I guess Anger of the Gods. But we're just going to be 1-for-1 in a creature at that point. Just leave it the way it is. Okay, 1-1 against Burn. We're not drawing very well. Like, we had a mulligan a bunch game 1. Game 2, we didn't draw it. I'm going to have to mulligan. Better hand. We want that as well. Although, yeah, that's fine. Because we'll draw it and then... Grim Lava. He's fine for the moment. Okay. Obviously, he's going to get a Hallowed Fountain. So Eidolon. Yeah, I think we're just gonna Helix it. I mean, that gives him a Lavamancer activation. We could avoid that by going... We definitely want to Helix this next turn. I could take 3. Let's see, if we take 3 to path Lavamancer now, then that's ultimately, in order to deal with Lavamancer, taking more than it would take to just take 1 hit from it. So I'm not going to do that. So we deal. So Eidolon actually just gained us the life. Like functionally, that's what happened. I'm actually kind of fine with him just. That's another Eidolon. Yeah, it's annoying. Okay, so. Well, I think we're just gonna. Doesn't really matter what order we do this in. We're gonna path. And then we're gonna Bolt Grim. So we functionally got 2 damage out of that Grim Lavamancer, 2 damage out of that Eidolon, and 0 damage out of the other Eidolon. He gained us life. So as far as our like life total, card, mana exchange rate, we're doing pretty well. He's kind of flooding out too, which is good for us. And we're about to cast Core Firewalker. So I kind of expect him to like sling some stuff at our face in response to this. But we're 15, opponent has 4 cards in hand. I think it's doing pretty well. So if our opponent... Let's see, is this... Alright, so we're at 8. So basically, even if our opponent has 2 Boros Charms in hand, we're not going to die. That's like his highest damage spell. We're not going to die because of the Core Firewalker. So let's just Serum Visions. I don't want this Mana Leak anymore, but I think the Path to Exile is okay. Get some beats in. Maybe he's got a path. He's sort of thinking. Path would be sad. I've seen it. Alright, play this. Play a Geist of Saint Traft. So, always yes, always yield. So this is going to effectively do 2 damage. We're not going to fetch. No reason to do so now. And now we have Snapcaster Mage for Helix. So yeah, we're doing great. Guess he's gonna like Searing Blaze our Angel token. Deflecting Palm. Yes. The next time a source would deal damage to you this turn, prevent that damage. Deflecting Palm deals not much damage to that source's controller. What is he targeting? The angel? Because, I mean... I don't think he did that right. He chose Deflecting Palm as his damage source. Oh, yeah. Alright, well then we'll just attack in. I mean, I don't think he was winning this match anyway. But... We're at 7 with a core Firewalker, and we can snap Helix in response to basically anything. Opponent says good game, so I guess we'll be getting a concession. Alright, so match 1 of our new meta league. We faced a burn. You know what? Give me a second. Alright, I wanted to go get the calculation from the other sheet. Okay, so match wins, match losses. Round 1 was this. It was a win. And did we go 2-1 or 2-0? Went 2-1. Okay. So 2 wins, 1 loss. Opponent was... This is the other kind of cool thing. Basically, this is all sourced from this giant list of decks. So we will select Burn. Select Burn. Then if we go check reports, sort not by matchup name, by times paired. We have 1 result. We have 100% win rate. We are killing it. Oh, I gotta figure this out. Okay, since 128, that fixes that. All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed our first game. It's been a while. Glad we won it. Off to a good start. Like I said, find me on Facebook. Nathan Quintanilla. That's Quintanilla. I think I'm listed as like a fake personality or a fake character or something like that. Find me there. Follow me on Twitter. You can ask me stuff there. And obviously, like the video, subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate your support. And hopefully, I will see you guys, I don't know, maybe as soon as tomorrow. You know, like I said, now that I can just record 1 match and move on, maybe I'll do some more frequent content. But as usual, I will be putting all the videos in a playlist. And at the beginning of this video, whenever I get more than 1, I guess I can do it now, I'll include a link that lets you click the playlist so that you can, you know, easily see a list of all of the matches in this set for this league. All right, guys. Take care. And, yeah, we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.